put your time and your effort and sacrifice your time and your eyes for you to read. So we get money to do business. We do not do business to get money. This is an ideal position that you can amplify yourself. Let's move on now to level 2, right? We want to move on to level 2. Now we're going to get the money. But how are we going to get the money? You know, how, where are we going to get the money? Before I scroll down, I want to pause it there and I want to make sure that you read this. There are 3 phases to level 1, blah, blah, blah. I want you to read that, pause the video. Hopefully you did. I'm scrolling down. Now, how are you going to get it? Where is it going to come from? All right, we're talking about $50,000, $100,000, $300,000, $400,000, even $500,000 from the bank, but you need a vehicle, right? So you need to have a vehicle. So what is the legal instrument, right? What is the legal instrument with the correct fuel? That's a corporation. So level 2, part A is going to be your vehicle. So I'd like for you to read this right here. I want you to read at this point, your prerequisites are, you're pretty cleaned up and you have already arrived from level 1 and you're in step 2 or in step 3 in level 1. So at this point from level 1, step 2, step 3, now you can move on to level 2. Now, LLC, C corporations, and S corporations. I'd like you to pause the video and I'd like for you to read this. Now, don't come and tell me, well, what type of presentation is this if you don't even read what you wrote? Well, I wrote it, but now you read it. All right? Some good things have to cost you. There's no handouts here. Now, what is the benefit of coming with us? PRB Capital, Prosperity Restoration Battalion Enterprises has access to BRM and underwriters. So what does that mean? That means the BRM is a business relationship manager. Now, what does a business relationship manager mean? It means that, well, how about I show you? So there are 7 positions that matter in a bank, right? 7 positions that matter in a bank. Now, do keep in mind that we also have connections to incubators, hedge fund, private accredited investors, hedge funds, I said, and anybody that would be willing to lend $1, we have access to. However, specifically when it comes to the banks, right? When it comes to exactly the banks, there are 7 positions that matter. You got the maintenance guy, you got the teller, you got the supervisor, you got the phone operator, you got the cashier, and then you have somebody called the BRM. So the BRM tends to be usually a woman or tends to be a man. It depends on whatever role they're playing. But pretty much they are the ones. But pretty much they are the ones that issue the money with number 7, the underwriter. So PRB Capital, we have access to those relationships because we have taken those folks' deals, right? We've taken a deal to the BRM in New York and Chase. We've taken a deal to a man in Texas from Bank of America, which is a BRM. And we've taken this guy from Chicago and this guy from this way and this guy from Wisconsin or from Utah. So they make their decisions together. Sometimes if the BRM is not 100% shaking hands with the underwriter, then we just reach out directly to the underwriter. So at this stage in the bank hierarchy, what you need to understand is the reason why you come with us, if you want capital, which I suppose you do, is because we have direct access to those lenders. And what that means is the BRM and the underwriter. That's it. And of course, we charge a small commission so that we can also feed our families and we can also make a living. Okay. Now, why PRB Capital charges what it charges? Please read this. I do want to state that everything nowadays is done with AI. Everything is fast with AI. And because we have those connections with email, with text message, with phone calls, and face-to-face, this is why we have the luxury. The luxury of what? Well, the luxury to charge you a small commission, whether that be 10% or 15%, for you to get funds. It's the cost of doing business. That's what it is. It's the cost of doing business. Okay? Now, accessing the capital. Now, how do you get it? Now, that's the how and the where, but this is the how of how you're going to get it. You get it 70% out of 100%. 70% of that is going to go in the form of credit cards. So 0% interest credit cards. I want you to take note at this. I'm going to pause. I want to pause now. And I want you, because everybody says, well, yeah, you'll get the money, but they never tell you, well, how are you going to get it? So please read that, right? I want you to please read that, because business done quickly is business done badly. Okay. So this is what we need. This is what we need to understand. 70% of the cash we get it at. So what is the best financial product in the whole United States of America? That's called 0% interest credit cards. That's the best one all over the USA. You use $50,000 up front, you pay $500 a month. You use $20,000 up front, you pay $200 a month. What are the terms or what are the months? Some of them are 15 months, some of them are 12 months, some of them are 2 years, some of them are 8 months. It just depends on where we connect you to. That's it. So 70% of the money we get it in credit cards and 30% we get it cash to your bank account. Okay. Where do they come from? Usually from Chase, Truist, US Bank, etc. So that's how we get the money in level 2, part B. Now I want to make an interruption. I want to stress something out, right? I want you to remember that to aim at nothing is to be shooting everywhere. To aim at nothing is to be shooting everywhere. Millions of people walk around with a loaded life and aim at everything, but hit nothing. So don't be that person. When we talk about level 2, part B, the structure of how you get that money is 70% credit cards or 30% cash. And we can do vice versa. We can swap it up, depending on your deal, depending on how much cash you really need. So at this point, let me walk you to the path, the forward and the backward step on how to on since the first day. First day, you're going to open up 5 business bank accounts from the banks that we tell you to. 5. Now you won't open up those 5 right away. First, you'll do 3. All that in detail when you do become our client. Then we wait 14 to 20 days. We wait a 14 to 20 day cycle after opening up those 3 out of the 5 bank accounts. And then, we sign a contract agreement. What does that mean? We sign a contract agreement. Hey, we're charging you 7% or 7 points or 10 points, 10% or 12% or 5%, whatever we agreed on. See, it's not about money. It's about people. It's about understanding the desire, the ultimatum, the momentous vision that you have. So stop telling your vision to neighborhood thinking people. Stop talking and stop telling your worldly vision to neighborhood thinking people. And I got that from Mr. Mark Jones, my billionaire with a B mentor. At this stage, step 4, we then go and we reach out, right? We reach out to the BRM and underwriters, and then they'll contact you, and then you do the next steps, and we will keep you in line in what are the questions and why. Then you get approvals for the business credit cards in 7 to 10 business days. Step number 6, you invest back into PRB Capital with a link for our time, for our brain, for our work, etc. Now, I do want to tell you something that is highly, highly important. I'd like for you to read this. Pause the video. Okay, so hopefully you pause the video and I'm not just talking out of my mouth. Most of you are not pausing the video, and that's okay. That's all right. That's on you now. So everyone talks. So now let's move to the next steps in this level 2. Everyone talks about how to get money. Well, I can get money here. Well, I can get that money here. But what about protecting the money? Has anybody ever taught you how to protect money? I mean, you drive a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, or whatever car you feel that would make you successful. And what you're doing is you're putting a sign that says, sue me if you're interested in that field. So I know a bunch of New Yorkers that they would do that. They would throw themselves in front of trucks. They would throw themselves in front of Lamborghinis or UPS trucks. And they would go to a lawyer, accident lawyer, and they would want that 30%. And they wouldn't care. They wouldn't mind the 30% commission of the settlement check, so that the lawyer can go in and he can be like, well, here's your money for what you've done. So I need you to understand about the 7 structure. You have to protect what you built. Okay, the 7 structure, and once you're our client, now there are many different ways of protecting the money that you get. We talk about a trust, we talk about a holding company, we talk about the mama, C corp, and then we talk about the LLCs, the babies. So there are many structures, but the most common structure that billionaires tend to use is what we do. And you'll have the opportunity to learn those structures once you get money, and if that's something that you want, which I wouldn't think you wouldn't want to do it, but that's that. I want to talk to you now about the loan package committee.